Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Good, good to talk to you again. How'd your meeting go? Did it go well?
Which one in particular?
Oh, you were saying a new real estate developer, the one that you had yesterday at like 4:30.
Yes. Yeah. She's here in my local area and everything.
Okay,
Actually, she's not actually a developer. She's just a commercial broker, realtor, and everything.
got
But
it.
it's for nine and a half acres for maybe a commercial retail strip plaza or something like
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Do you know by any chance who the name John Webb is in here in this area?
Web. So we have
Webb. John.
WEBB.
Yeah, WEBB. Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with exactly who he is, but I think that Cecil Webb management area is named after that family. And that's down here by me in like the Punta Gorda area.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, there's like it's a huge kind of preserve area here.
Yeah. He's got other like, farmland listings and
Hmm.
stuff like that. He does other things too, like, like truck towing business,
Mm,
trucking business and stuff like that. But in this spot in my local area of Davenport, he's got a bunch of commercial real estate offices for lease, stuff like that.
yeah.
He's got a couple of gas stations like racetracks, 7-Elevens,
Hmm.
just a mixture portfolio of services other than what he's doing. So anyway, his offices are down the street from where this lady's listing is.
Hmm.
So I told her that I want to talk with her about this particular, listing that she has available in Davenport. I can probably get a developer that might be interested in purchasing it with a letter of intent and all that and everything.
Hmm.
So I'm going to be talking with her later in a few hours from now and everything.
Okay.
Also, I via text spoke yesterday with two of my other potential deals and everything.
Hmm.
Did I told you about the Chevron gas station deal that I'm doing?
No, the ones I got was the one in the Philippines and the one in Oregon, I think it was.
That one.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay, those two. Yeah, those yeah, I've got about like five hot top things that I'm doing right now and everything.
Awesome.
So one of them here also in Davenport is for getting the charging stations for a gas station.
Mm.
So if I can get that done for them and all, they'll be the first independent Chevron gas station that provides EV charging station for people that drive EVs.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I after this call and everything, I got to call the guy in Arizona and
Right.
he told me to give him a call this afternoon and everything. So
Oh, that'll be
but yeah,
awesome. You're on a
yeah,
roll.
it's gonna be a busy day today.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad that we got to have a few minutes to kind of talk today about all of this
Mhm.
and get in here. So, yeah. So, what I wanted to do was I took the information that you gave me in the last call and I kind of going over it and everything. And we talked a bit towards the end of the call about kind of what we do and how we structure everything and work it all. But so we're kind of a little bit of the same thing, but I'm going to relate it to, what your kind of the where you are now, where you want to be, and how we get there
Uh-huh.
situation. So if that's okay with you, I'd like to go ahead and start with that. And if there's anything that I got wrong, go ahead and let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Will that work out?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, let me first show this. I'm going to share my screen here. Can you see it?
I can see it, but it's really the
Okay,
text is very small.
that's okay. I'll read through it. So the first thing that we're looking at, we're going to start with where you are now, which from our conversation, I got from this that you're relying on referrals, kind of, that your outreaches, your random outreaches you're doing. You have YouTube videos going through that you're doing, but it's, trying to do that all on your own, your leads, and it's really not a scalable system that you have
Mhm.
that you have going on right now.
Right.
And a lot of the leads that you're getting, you said, were not really a great fit. They either, some of them, they have got bad credit or they're structured poorly or they just really aren't ready. And you're spending time on those wrong conversations.
Hmm.
Do you agree with all those? Okay. And then you know that your authority and credibility are strong, but you're not consistently visible to the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Somewhat. I'll agree with that and everything. Yeah, I can usually get a good vibe sense and everything that
Mhm.
just from my perspective, if I'm looking at their business operations, their structures and their registration and processes and stuff like that, if I can pick all that up, which I can now and
Mhm.
everything, like let's say like maybe they don't have a brick and mortar office or whatever, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
nothing commercial wise and all that everything, then I don't waste time on them and everything. But if
Okay.
they're independent contractors and all that, then I'll ask them, like, I'm like, well, where's your business address located? Where like are you operating at? Kind of in a sense and everything. And if they tell me, oh, I just use a virtual business address, which is fine, because
Mhm.
actually, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
actually going to be doing that for one of my other entities that I'm going to be doing. I'll probably do it after the holidays, and then
Okay.
I'll be using a business virtual office, but it's a very credible one where that reports to the corporate credit bureaus and everything as on-time payments and all that. I mean, which is fine. That's
Mhm.
all you need and everything. And you don't have to be at that virtual office day in and day out and everything. It's just there to collect
Mhm.
mail, get phone calls. The calls get forwarded to you on your phone and all that and everything. So it's all you know pretty structured forward and everything. It's straightforward.
Right, right. But still, that's you're am I right with that? You still have some of these wrong leads kind of coming in, and you're still having to go over that stuff to determine that that's not the right fits.
I was in the beginning. Well,
Okay.
for the first year and everything, it was just maybe there was something I was doing wrong,
Okay.
probably,
Hmm.
but now I know what to look for. Now I do,
Okay.
and all that. Pretty much this year, actually, I know what I was looking for. I was looking for real estate developers, established businesses. They have to have financials and good stuff like that.
Hmm.
Then
Hmm.
then I invest, my resources, my time, all that good stuff now at this point.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
And then where we're wanting to get to is you want to get a branded podcast that builds authority and attracts your ideal clients,
Mhm.
and a consistent stream of strategic conversations with aligned prospects and partners.
Correct.
Okay. And we want to have a scalable system that turns your voice into book calls and deal flows, being able to lead into things like speaking engagements and, other avenues like that.
Mhm.
Be, all right. And because what I've said is you're kind of sitting on this powerhouse business model, and without the visibility and positioning and high value clients, it, it's hard when you're not putting that out there to everybody on a
Mhm.
consistent basis to really kind of grow the authority that you have. Would you agree with
Right.
that? Would you agree with the where we want to get to?
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So our main issue is that right now you're manually trying to scale through outreach, referrals, and kind of DIY content, but without the structured platform to attract, filter, and convert the premium leads, the growth is going to stay stuck. And the way that we kind of handle that is the mic to money method, which is what we
Mhm.
have. And we'll turn your podcast into a business development engine and not
Okay.
just content. So you're not just going to be having stuff coming out where you're just getting social media content and
Right.
just trying to grow that audience, kind of like what we talked about
Mhm.
last week. We're looking to really make sure that these clients, or not clients, but these guests that you have coming on are going to convert to something that's going to grow your business. So they're going to convert to either collaborators, clients, strategic partners, or they're going to be
Right.
people that are going to be credibility boosters because you're going to raise your positioning by being associated with them,
Mhm.
right? Okay. So all of that we agree on so far? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
All right. So kind of how we go through this. So step one, we would kind of go over your offers and kind of see exactly what you're doing. You and I would have a meeting, talk about kind of what your business structure is like a little deeper than what we already have, just so that we can get a good sense. I get a really good sense of what you're offering, and I can understand a bit more what your ideal client is going to look like. We're going to kind of really just dive into those kinds of things, because that's going to help us develop the podcast. So we're going to be able then to figure out like, what's your podcast name? What's the positioning of the podcast? The branding that you're wanting to go through, how do you want this to be presented? How do you want it to be perceived? We'll get your intros and outros done. I'll help you with even how to kind of learn to structure the conversations a little bit, so that you're kind of digging and pulling out information you need without selling them on the podcast, right?
Right.
And so that's the first bit that we'll do. The second is going to be that you would record 10 episodes off the bat. Okay. And we're going to record them after going through kind of like what your client avatar is, the people that are going to be your strategic partners, people that you want to get in front of to try to get those speeches going, or any of those kinds of things like that. We're going to kind of make a hit list of who those people are, and then start reaching out to them, where you'll reach out and say, hey, I have this podcast. I love to have you come on and talk about XYZ, whatever it's going to be, right?
Right.
More than likely, most of the time, this is why this works so well, they almost always say yes. And they get in. You start recording these, we get 10 interviews done, okay, with the framework that we've talked about. And then at that point, you're able to start, we walk you through kind of like, how are you going to do this email outreach afterwards, to say, to kind of touch, make a point of contact with them after the interview, and how to set this stuff up to where you can start making that connection and kind of have that, hey, this is what I'm, think of me for this, or, let me help you with this, or XYZ, to bring that conversation about. And then we will kind of step back, we'll look at it, we'll say, okay, how is this working? If it's working well, great, we just keep going on. If we're kind of like, there's something that's not quite right about it, then we evaluate what that is and we adjust. And we kind of go through and help you again. How do we go, and start figuring out what needed to be tweaked so that this will run correctly, right?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So you'll be getting traction. You should be able to book the calls, get high quality conversations and conversions from that step. Step 3 is we launch the podcast. So once you have those 10 episodes down, you've recorded all of that, then we go through on our side, we edit them, we add in your intros, your outros, we put all your branding on it. We do all of this for those 10 episodes. Okay. So they are ready for distribution. We pull 6 pieces of social media content out for each of these. It'll go into a folder for you as well. As we're launching them, we'll also publish to your social media. It won't be necessarily all of those at one time, because that would just throw your algorithm completely. It would be like, no, this is now a bot. Too much posting at one time, but it'll be in a Google Drive folder that you'll have access to. And if you want to use that stuff for something else, or you want to post it somewhere else, however you want to do it, you can. It's there, it's yours, you keep it forever. So all of that'll be there. We do the show notes for each episode. So which ours kind of turn a little different. A lot of people, when they say show notes, they're looking at basically a quick little description of what it is, your timestamps, and then contact information. Ours turns into more of a blog style. So in essence, you're also getting kind of blog content that goes along with it, right? These episodes can all be published onto your website, because we can develop the page for that as well, that we can link to your website.
Right.
We'll publish them to there. We'll publish them to YouTube. We can publish them to Apple, Spotify, all of the big major podcasts as well. So you have audio and video going through. The show notes go on there. And then we can also help you with like how to design, and word your emails, and start sending emails with your podcasts out to your email list, and how to kind of like alert people and let them know, hey, there's a new email, or there's a new podcast that's dropped, come take a look at this, or whatever it is.
Right.
Okay. So that is kind of, you'll go live with those 10. We'll drop a larger portion, kind of like, maybe we'll start with like, we'll drop 5 episodes that first week in a 30-day period. And then we'll drop down, we'll do like 2 episodes, and 2 episodes, and kind of, go ahead.
I was gonna ask how many minutes, how long is each episode of the podcast of those 10?
It really depends on how long your conversation goes. I
Oh,
mean,
okay,
yeah, so
gotcha.
it's not like you're locked into saying, okay, you got to be on and off in 20 minutes. Honestly, at
Okay.
this point, it's going to be futile to do this if you're just trying to rush these out in 20-minute episodes. It
Oh,
just doesn't
okay,
work,
okay.
you know? So, I mean, now, I mean, we might have to sit down and have a conversation if you're coming up, like going over, like, hitting 2.5 hours or something like that.
Right.
But
I try on Zoom calls and all that to do no more than 45 minutes. I mean, that should be
mhm,
plenty of time,
yeah,
unless it's a very interesting conversation I'm talking about in business, it can go maybe for a few hours. Who knows?
right. And at that point, we could even potentially take something like that one. And if you had something that was longer like that, and
Right.
I mean, we could, for publishing wise and stuff like that, we could end up maybe even splitting that into a part one, part two,
Yeah,
an
of course.
episode, something along those lines. So you'll get all of those. I mean, if we're sitting at like an hour, hour and a half, something along those lines, you're
Yeah,
fine. That's fine with our 10 episodes that we have. That really leads into a good solid conversation, because remember, these conversations are
yeah,
meant to make your client feel good. They're meant to, or your guest feel good, and meant to kind of build that relationship between you guys. So you're really wanting to kind of get down into some like value level conversations as well, not just surface topics. And we would talk more about that and talk about that structure and what that kind of looks like once we got into forming all of this.
okay.
So that's kind of where we, kind of what we're doing with all of this. And then we're going to help, and that all would take place within about 60 days.
Okay.
Okay. So it'll take us about 6 to 8 weeks to really create all of your assets,
Right.
but you're going to be recording episodes while we're doing that.
Oh,
So
okay.
that by the time, because you and I are going to be going over the strategies and what's working and what's not, and then I'll listen to some of the recordings that you have, and
Right.
really kind of see how you're feeling about it, how it's working, and then adjusting and pivoting as we're getting some under our belt, right? And if you record more than 10, that's fine. We can take the 10 best ones and make that the ones that we edit, right?
Okay.
And then those will be the ones we air. So we can kind of move on, and go and do like that. So the idea, the result from all of this is that your platform really becomes your pipeline. So, your voice drives your visibility. You'll have strategic guests that are going to turn into ideal clients, partners, referrals, and
Right.
scale your influence, your income, and your impact without having to chase people down all the time.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So we agree that that's all sounds like what you're wanting to do, right?
Correct. Right. Yeah. That'd be like the grand plan of things right there for
Right.
sure. Because
Right.
obviously in my arena of like commercial financing, commercial real
Mm-hmm.
estate developments, all that and everything, it's sort of like a really big pond and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I'm still I'm still the little guy. There once I'm trying to fish in for a really good decent sized client. Obviously, I've got about several of big commercial real estate
Mm-hmm.
deal projects right now that I'm working on right now and everything. So it's I'd like to see that in 2026.
Right. Right. And that's kind of where using something like this
Hmm.
is really to your advantage, because,
Right.
a lot of these people that are in the realm, I'm assuming that, if it's like most realms, they all kind of are like the same thing with, kind of like the same thing, different font,
Yeah.
kind of. Whereas you can, now this helps you set yourself apart, you know,
Right.
it separates you out, makes you have something that maybe not some of these other ones have to offer,
Right.
you know? And at the same time, as we're doing this and we're getting ready to air these, you also can share the links to the Google folder for each of these
Okay.
episodes with your guest. So now you're giving them something on top of all the rest of it. You've already given them a platform to talk about, whatever they've got going on, but then we're also going to give them content. You're going to give them social media posts. You're going to give them access to the episodes. You're going to give them access to things they can put onto YouTube or share on their social media. To go along with this, it's going to help promote them. So you're giving them content on top of it. So this whole thing is structured around being able to kind of give to that potential client.
Right.
And now you're not approaching them with the, hey, talk to me so you can give me something, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And we talked a little bit last week about how this has worked before with, I told you, the one attorney that I have in Atlanta, and he's recorded about 90 episodes, and he's said about 9 to 10 of those guests and stuff have translated into paying clients. And then nearly almost all the rest of them have referred him clients.
There you go.
And, so this has worked out well for him in that aspect. Plus, he's landed on other people's podcasts because he had a podcast, right? Things that wouldn't have happened before. And then he's gotten clients off of their audiences.
Okay.
So this is one where he has said he's never actually landed a client from his own audience. It's always been guest has converted either into a client or a strategic partner that has referred him, right? Clients. And then from that, it's landed him the podcasts with other people as him being the guest, where he's landed clients from their audiences.
Nice. Right.
So, and it's worked out well for him. And then I have another one and again, it's an attorney, but still in North Carolina, and his whole thing, because honestly, sometimes, and it can be hard for some people to be able to identify who their ideal client is going to be. Like, they know who the ideal client is, but like, let's say somebody that's going to go into bankruptcy and needs the financial advisement. Well, you don't know when somebody's going to go into bankruptcy until they kind of make it obvious that that's going to happen. But so what you do in that aspect is you start building the network. You build your network off of the podcast. So in this particular person's podcast, he doesn't really talk about himself at all, or his company. He spends about 75% of his episodes are solely focused on business leaders and business people that are in the county that his law firm's in. And because he has done that, he stays top of mind for all of these people because he's giving them content, he's giving them a platform, everything. So now as soon as somebody starts talking about needing an attorney, oh, hey, I know who you need to go to. You need to go over here to this guy. Right. He was awesome. He was great. And it's worked so well for him that he's actually considering, just talked to me back a little time ago, that he's actually considering starting a second podcast for the neighboring county where he's putting a new law firm, like another branch of his law firm in.
Another branch, right.
So that he can start building the same network in that county that he's built in the one that he's in right now.
Right.
Yeah, because he's gotten enough off of it through those referrals. So it's really this method that replaces your vanity metrics with authority metrics, like we talked about last week, and having these strategic conversations with the right people. And then that way they convert right into what we're looking for. So after this, if we can agree on a price and we agree on everything here, we would then go to our next steps, which would be, I would send you the link to go ahead and get all of your information logged in for us. It'll ask you some questions kind of about your podcast, like kind of what your vision is, what you're thinking about, just to give us a starting point, a jumping off point for us to review before we have our initial meeting about all of that. And then, from there, I have my creative director that'll hop onto a call with us as well. And we're going to discuss all of this. He's going to get all the questions asked that he needs so that he can start really understanding and refining where our podcast is going to go. And then he'll get on with the creative team and start getting your logos, your branding, your, all of the things going for that podcast. And that's kind of the first thing that we start with. So so that's kind of where we are. That's kind of the game plan that I have up for you and how this could work with your company. And, do you have any questions?
Can this, with the launch of the podcast, can this get, on to notified by success magazine publishing companies and Forbes and all that and everything in New York City or Los Angeles or Miami?
Yeah, I mean, eventually it probably could. I don't know what I'm not a publicist to be able to, like a PR person to be able to like handle public relations in that
Right.
aspect.
Uh-huh.
If that's somebody that you're looking for, I do have connections to them that,
Okay.
people that can do that for you. And then
Right.
you guys can talk about, hey, I want to be able to get recognized in this magazine, in that place, in this place, or whatever. And then
Right.
they build stuff around you for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
'cause that seems to be like, I guess the not much as like the next bet the bit not the next biggest thing and all that, but it's in the universe,
mhm,
basically, in a sense. Once you get on those, rate their radar of,
mhm,
publication and media publications and everything, then
right.
that's where you basically have the world in the palm of your hand right then and
Mhm,
there, and it just comes to you at that point, basically, and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
The particular small business type of client that's just trying to expand their operations on, and then
Mhm,
it's humongous at that point.
right, right. Yeah, no, I can, like I said, I have a publicist that I can connect you with if that's something
Okay.
that you're interested in looking into. And he's done a ton of work. He's actually in Orlando.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, he's in Florida too. So I think that's where he's located. I know that's where he was at one point.
So, yeah, Central Florida, Orlando, and
Mhm.
Altamont, and all that. It seems to be on the radar right now for everybody in
Yeah,
the United States right now. I
yeah.
mean, we've got people from San Francisco, San Diego, and up there in Washington and Portland and all and everything. They have their eyes on the red states right now for some
Oh
reason.
yeah, yeah.
That's just how it is with on the political spectrum kind of things and all that, because obviously Florida has the lowest corporate tax rate in the
Mhm.
country. That's why they're all, either
California.
going to Florida or going to Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've been seeing a lot of that. Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
So
why did Elon move his Tesla out of Silicon Valley over to Texas and everything?
this makes sense. Yeah, company wise, it does make sense.
Hmm.
So yeah, but we can manage that. We can get a publicist on board, and either we could work a couple of ways with that, and so we could definitely have that conversation. And then if you have enough people, because I have to have an audience of 1,000 to be able to, not on the podcast stuff, but for social media, email lists, things like that. We
Uh-huh.
can create a custom audience on Meta,
Oh,
like for Meta ads, to be able to start. Because if you have friends and stuff on there, if you're connected to people who you're wanting to do business with on there, we
yeah.
can also talk. I have a section where we can do that. Make sure that this visibility, your shorts, your social media, things like that, are going and showing up in this audience
Uh-huh.
over and over and over again. So they're seeing your face constantly. They're seeing your name
Right.
constantly.
Right.
So that kind of goes into, some of the Google marketing and, things like that, the research that they've put in there. So we can do that as well. And if you have that, like I said, if you have enough people for us to create that kind of audience with, then we can do that. And I would work at, through the time that we're doing this and we're building this and we do your launch, or we're doing things coming up to it, where we get you to create maybe a few little shorts, kind of like, hey, I'm working on this, I'm doing, talking about what we're doing. And we could push that kind of stuff out, and I could do 3 months of that for no cost to you, and put some of those ads out there. And then after that, we could talk about what that would look like.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I mean, as of right now, I think like my following, my connections and followers on LinkedIn is the biggest component of
mhm,
my audience and everything and all that. Once I know I'm at 1,000 followers, all that, then that's where the numbers are gonna increase at that point and
right.
everything. I
Yeah.
just looked on it just about before this call and everything. I have I think 28 new connection requests I have to go through, and I have
Yeah.
not gone through any of them. I'm just like, I don't have the time to talk to even not even a few of these people right now. I don't have the time today to do it.
Yeah. No, I understand. It seems like sometimes being those friend requests, they sit there and they just start coming in, or connection requests, whatever, start coming in, and it's like, holy cow. Because it's either, at least in my experience, it's kind of like, I don't know, everybody gets on the same call and says, all of us are going to send these requests all at the same time. Because you'll go for like, a week without a whole lot, maybe one or two sprinkled in here and there. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam.
No, like I will probably get, like, I remember I had gone through my last batch of like connections on LinkedIn, and then like the next day I had like 11 new ones. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Like, but I'm just flabbergasted about it and everything.
Right.
So
right.
I was like, all right, just let it come, let the numbers start adding up,
Hey, go for it, right? And yeah, absolutely. So from everything that we've kind of gone over, do you have any other questions that I can answer for you? Or do you have anything that would kind of like stop you from wanting to do this if we can agree upon a price today?
I mean, I can't. Yeah, obviously, let me get my two deals that I've got on the table right now submitted in over to the lender. Now that way I know that at that point when it gets to the lender's desk and everything, because all they got to do now at this point, just fill out the documents, send them back to me, then I send it over to my colleague, my managing partner, and all that. He sends it to the lender, then I know that the deal is going to go under underwriting at that point.
Right. Yeah, no, I got you there. One of the things that we can do as well, if it's something that you wanted to move, I know that we want to wait until that happens to really get everything jumping, which I believe you said that was going to be in October, right?
I'm hoping by the end of this month.
By the end of this month. Okay.
Yeah, like everything. What I mean by that is that like the client's got the personal financial statements filled out. He's got me their questionnaire, and he's got me his everything, just the three things that I need from the client.
Right.
And submit it over before the end of this month and everything. I'm trying to get that done by the end of the day tomorrow and all that. So just like I said, let me get actually my three deals that are priority right now. Let me get that done, and then we can probably look at something in October and everything.
Okay.
And then I know it takes after like the client is approved for funding, it should take about to the end of October, and then I get paid. Obviously, I get my succession fees and all that and everything from that point.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so like I said, there's plenty of options with that. You could do it all up front, at the end when you get your your payout there. We could also set some stuff up where like, okay, we do a deposit and then, the rest of it come later. That way it holds the spot so that we know that, what we have coming up and not taking more clients than what we can actually manage in a period of time. So yeah, I mean, so there's options there, that we could go, but I'd like to at least kind of go over some of this so you know what we're looking at, and to make sure that, price wise we're on the same page.
Okay, let's go and talk about the options and everything.
Okay, all right. So first, what I'd like to say is that for yours, so remember, we're going to be designing the whole podcast. We're going to be training you on, like we talked about earlier, on how to conduct the interviews, how to reach out to those people for the interviews. We're going to be doing all of that training that goes on along with it. We'll have your 10 podcast episodes that are going to get edited and published, and all of that going on as well that goes along through all of this. So you'll have everything from beginning to end.
When each podcast episode is that done per day or once a week, or
so in this one, so in what we have going on right here, this is kind of like where we're getting you started. We get your podcast going. We're getting it where you're kind of almost getting like a whole season of episodes done and launched, so that you kind of have something in up front, rather than it just be like, oh, somebody's come in, they've listened to your podcast or whatever it is, and then they go and you have one episode there. We don't want it to kind of trickle in like that. So that's why we're doing the 10 up front, and then we're going to launch those 10 in the 30 days after they're done. After the podcast is developed, we have all your assets built, we have everything done, and we're like, yep, this is it. then we're going to launch those in the 30 days. So you'll have 10 that'll drop. You'll have a whole season kind of like that. Then after that, you can start going and doing more, following that. And, we can talk about that and what the, how we could help you with post-production and things like that moving forward month to month after that, if that's something you're interested in doing. So, yeah. And then at that point, if we, which we can get into that in a, later on, and you can choose to go with us, or you could choose to have somebody else do it for you, whatever your option is, whatever you choose to do at that point. But yeah, typically with us on the back end reoccurring like that, it's an episode a week is how we base everything. This first 10 is just kind of like a big batch to kind of get you going and get that whole first season out there quickly. So it gives you a little bit more validity than just like somebody comes over, and if they are looking into you, if they are researching you, if they're looking at what you've got going on, they see more than 1 or 2 episodes sitting there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I got it now. I was just worried about, like, is this going to be, per day, or once a week, or once a month, or once every couple weeks, or whatever.
Yeah. No, this would be kind of a once a week thing after this initial bit, after these first 10 episodes get launched. Then you would move into, then this portion of what we've talked about and what we're agreeing to, it would be done. And then you can move into a reoccurring after that if you wanted.
Right. I know this one guy that I found in Success Magazine. He has his podcast where he's on, like, I guess, like episode 119 right now. When I first saw it on there, so I'm trying to, like, think about, like, well, how long has he been doing his podcast? And when I found him in Success Magazine, I mean, this is an issue from 2023 and everything. So I'm looking at the time rate. So he's only been basically successful since, like, during the pandemic and everything, So it really hasn't been that long,
About 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
But he's got it started and all that, and so he's basically established at that point.
Right. Yeah, and that just takes time. And as people get more successful with their podcast, like when you're landing clients from this, you're getting you're getting income coming in on a regular basis, kind of from either, clients guests that are converting into being a client for you, or you're getting the strategic partners that are referring you clients now, and you're like, yep, you're hitting those and landing those.
Right.
It could be a thing that if you're like, hey, I want more episodes coming out, you could start doing that, because if this becomes that thing that's really landing you the guest speaking, that's really landing you the clients, that's really landing you all of these things that you're kind of looking for, then you may want to invest more into this and have this kind of be like a main way that you're doing it. So maybe you up and decide that you want to do 2 episodes a week, or you want to do, whatever it is at that point. But I would suggest starting with after the initial bit here, so that we get you a season out there, and it's not like it's brand new to whoever comes and looks, that you start with like 1 a week. Typically that's more manageable for people than trying to go and do this, and have 2 or 3 or 4 episodes a week coming out. That's, that can be a lot for, filming. So.
Yeah, one episode a week is definitely manageable. Just getting started and all that and everything. Of course, with someone at my aperture and everything, because I mean, in a way, I feel like where I was in 2022 and 2023, even in 2024, I didn't think where I'm at on a scale length level where I'm at right now with these deals and everything. Because I mean, I remember in 2022 and 2023, like, how am I gonna get started? Where am I gonna go? Once everything starts, launching at pre-phasing and pre-launching and everything, and all that. So now I know how to actually, even get, like, clients now and everything, and not just based on referrals and all that. Because basically, I look at, like, the referrals kind of thing. There have been a couple of good ones. And then they're mostly, a lot of them were not good referrals and everything. So
yeah. And if I remember, you have not just are you doing the broker stuff, but you said you had some other kind of higher ticket offers that you do for helping people get to where they need to be as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the consulting packages and everything. Yeah,
Right.
that I've done.
So, that's always something as well that you could look to kind of see, like, if there's people where you're kind of like, yeah, they've got this going on, I want to talk to these people. Maybe
Right.
they work with some of them. You could look at getting some that are working in that aspect too, because those are some pretty decent offers that you have going there.
Oh yeah, of course. Especially with the AI integration and everything that
Mhm.
I'm going to be using with Copecart for my consulting packages, because that way it's they go onto the website of the AI system that I've integrated with and everything, and
Mhm.
then I don't even have to talk to them. I mean, they know what they see that they're like, oh, okay, I'll pay Paulie's gold price right now and everything. Oh,
Right.
I'm kind of short. I can the Copecart AI provides a little bit of a like a it's like a they also offer up to financing where
Mm.
they can pay now, they buy now and pay later and everything.
Right. Right. Right.
So it
Mhm.
provides like that option on that platform of Copecart USA and everything. So I thought that was like, well, that's good. That if they really need what they need of my services, either strategic services, real estate strategies, and all that, and tax strategies,
Mhm.
government contracts,
Right.
they see that on the marketplace
Mhm.
on their radar and all and everything, and then it's there.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so I don't have to explain any of that stuff,
Mhm.
and lose time and everything. It's all
Mhm.
listed on there and everything on the marketplace.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, that's great.
it's a great platform.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like it. I might have to sit there and have you send send some stuff to me just so I can check it out and see. Just, like
Hmm.
exactly, email me the names and stuff. That would be neat. I'm always interested in looking to see what's kind of out there, what people are doing and everything.
Right. I mean, I found them on Facebook. That's
Oh,
where I
okay.
seen a lot of. Yeah, they were on Facebook when I. That's how I saw a lot of the sponsored ads and everything. I checked them out and everything.
Got it.
I liked what how they were talking about it in the ads and everything. And so I'm just now I got to get my packages typed out and everything
Mm-hmm.
on there, and then it'll launch. And then I go through the verification process
Right.
afterwards, and then everything at that point is launched at that point.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.